At times, I may have been accused of being an HK fanboy, and that's not entirely untrue. But what I would argue is what I am is a fanboy of results and performance. And in my experience, that is what HK delivers. Results and performance. There may have never been a better example of this than the new HK MR762A4. In this video, you will see this gun perform at levels and distances not considered, let's say, normal or typical for .308. You'll also see it do this in the experienced and not so experienced hands. You will see it perform at such a high level, it literally caused one of my good buddies to get rid of his Knights SR25, because the comment quickly became, "You think your Knights can do that?" And sadly, it could not. The HK MR762 has been a bucket list gun for me for quite some time, and for whatever reason it always slipped through my hands. I've of course had the opportunity to shoot them from time to time, but it's different when it's your own gun and you can run it through the paces in multiple scenarios to see how it really performs. Sometimes when you build up something so big in your head, there is no way that reality can even come close to the dream. This is one case where I can say that reality has outperformed all of my lofty expectations, so grab some popcorn, sit back and enjoy as I present to you the HK MR762A4. What really matters to me, and I think most anyone looking into this rifle, is the accuracy and how it can perform at distance, because I think that's how most people see this. This is a DMR style rifle. Something that can be used in regular engagements but also has the capability to reach out to touch targets at further distances. If you are completely unfamiliar with the MR762A4 rifle, this is HK's current civilian version of the HK417, HK's battle rifle or DMR rifle chambered in .308. This rifle is used by multiple military forces and police forces the world over, including Germany as the G28 designated marksman rifle, and in the US for a time as the compact semi-automatic sniper system. Coming from the lineage of one of the most popular battle rifles of all time, the HK-G3, the HK417 and the civilian counterpart will not disappoint and has been tested and fielded the world over in a similar fashion to the G3 before it. Let's briefly talk about some updates to this model, the A4, because what I'm sure we all really just want to see is how it shoots. The MR762A4, like its predecessor, has a piston-driven operating system, and in general that means there would be less heat, dirt, and fouling getting back into the action. This allows the rifle to run cooler, longer, increasing reliability and wear on components. One thing that is new with the A4 is now there's an adjustment for suppressed and unsuppressed fire, letting you better tune the system if you want to run it suppressed. We shot several cans on this rifle, but I would say the one that we use the most is the Cat JL, which is really more of a bolt gun application and not exactly a low pressure can. And on the suppressed setting, the MR762A4 handled it very well. The handguard is much more streamlined than the previous iteration, it's easier to grab, and of course there's M-LOK all over it. The handguard feels lighter, and I do want to talk about weight for just a second. While I don't own an MR762A1, like I've said, I've had the opportunity to shoot them on several occasions, and this gun does feel lighter to me than what I remember, but on the HK website, they have both weights at 9.84 pounds. So while this definitely isn't a light rifle, it feels lighter to me than its predecessor. The biggest change has to be the full ambi controls on the lower. You can work the bolt, safety, and mag release from both sides of the receiver. The right-hand bolt release is done very nicely with this lever that allows you to hold the bolt open by pushing up and releasing the bolt by pushing it down. I love this setup, and you see more and more companies moving in this direction. The safety is also a 45-degree throw, which is nice. And like the A1, you can activate the safety even if the hammer isn't back. All the controls have very large shields surrounding them, so nothing should get inadvertently pushed while the rifle is slung on your body. I am a huge fan of the trigger. It's a 2-stage trigger, which I think is an excellent choice for a DMR rifle and has a nice crisp pull. On my scale, it's weighing in at just under 4 pounds. I'm really happy with this weight and everything about this trigger. However, I will say that some of the shooters who got to shoot this rifle, who are used to really Gucci triggers, wished it was a little bit lighter. But I guess it's just what you're accustomed to. I am personally quite happy with it. The grip is a nice vertical take on the current HK pistol grips, and the stock is a slimmer version of the rather large A1 stock, which again might be why this rifle feels a little bit lighter. What really matters to me, and I think most anyone looking into this rifle, is the accuracy and how it can perform at distance, because that's how I think most people see the HK MR762A4 is in a DMR role. HK does claim 1 MOA accuracy out of this gun, and that's a pretty big claim for a 16-inch semi-auto. For most of the video, we use my 308 hand loads, which isn't anything fancy, and I don't have time to tailor 308 to each individual gun, so this is usually the load I use in all of my 308s. I will say it's 175 grain Sierra Match King, and it's on the warmer side. When we test the gun, we usually zero it, then run it through its paces, and then after that, the last thing we usually film is typically the group. I started doing it this way because I felt accuracy made slight improvements as the barrel got broken in a bit. And here is that group, and it is 0.634 MOA. While I don't usually film the zeroing process, here's a picture of the group from that day at 0.466 MOA. So the MR762A4 is definitely capable of sub-MOA performance. So we started to push the HK MR762A4 out to distance, and 525 yards wasn't really much of a challenge. So then we went to 600, and again, very easy, very repeatable, no problems getting hits at that range. Alright, as we walk this thing out, I kind of want to go over the lay of the land on this range. This is Brock's Gap in Pell City, Alabama. And as you can see, we're going to try to walk this thing out to 1,400 yards and see how it does. Next up is 1,000 yards. That's usually getting pretty close to the point that 308 goes through transonic shifts, so hits get a lot harder to come by. A 1,000 yards was still very achievable with the HK MR762A4, so we stepped it on up to 1,200. There was one miss there at 1,200, but overall, things are still pretty consistent, even out to 1,200, and that's pretty amazing. But not as amazing as what you're about to see. We're now at 1,400 yards. I did pretty well. I was definitely getting more hits than misses, and that is amazing for 308, especially out of a 16-inch barrel. I know this is kind of hard to believe. Heck, I was there and I have a hard time believing it. And watching from home, you might doubt it a little bit. So what I did is I actually took the time to put a red arrow to highlight every hit on the 1400 yard steel plate so that you can see where they go in real time.
You actually heard it ding that time.
Yeah, you could barely hear it ding.
Seven for seven.
My good buddy here is a proud owner, or at least was a proud owner, of a Knights SR25. And off camera, the comment quickly became, "Can your Knights do that?" Well, sadly, he had to admit that it could not. And 5 days after we filmed this section of the video, he made the decision to get rid of his Knights SR25. Now, I'm not knocking Knights. They're a great company, great pedigree, have made great contributions to the firearms industry. Now, I don't personally own an SR25, but I've got to shoot them on multiple occasions, and at least in my limited experience, the accuracy never quite lived up to the price tag. It would also appear that at least this Knights owner would agree that the HK MR762A4 is a better AR-10. It's only a sample size of one, but I thought this was a very interesting anecdote. All of you Knights owners, feel free to tear me a new one in the comments section. While I was filming this video, Graham Bates of GB Guns came all the way from Oregon, 1 to see Bucky's, and 2 to shoot the HK MR762A4. Just kidding. But he did come to visit Alabama the Beautiful, and it's also Alabama the Hot and Humid in June. But nonetheless, I thought it would be interesting to see what a guy who is mainly known for shooting pistols at 7 yards can do with this rifle at extreme distances in .308.
Still right.
You should be holding left edge.
Oh, I thought you said bottom right edge.
I'm bottom left edge.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, it works when you hit bottom left edge. Nice. That was it. I'll go one more.
Yep.
Nice.
Ain't nothing to it.
This is the small one.
Oh,
Just under it?
just under. I mean, just under. Dead center.
It's like watching an HD black and white screen. This is the one that runs up to a 20. And it's like,
Yeah.
Got it.
Hit stuff at 1,000 yards.
1400 with the 308
So the refresh rate so fast.
on my last shot. That's awesome.
You should call Mike on the way home.
Yeah.
Be like, hey man, you had this video? And I'm just going to tell you that we did 1400.
It's nice to see that the MR762 easily performs even with shooters who don't regularly shoot long range. If you guys aren't following GB Guns, you should, because Graham is a really good guy and he always has some interesting things featured on the channel.
Might happen out there earlier.
Thinking I might give that breeze a second.
You can't have a top tier rifle perform at its top tier level without having great accessories to help it achieve its full potential. And since this has been a dream gun of mine, I spared no expense. First off, the scope we're using is the Night Force Attacker 4-20. These scopes are very well known for their clarity and toughness. I like that magnification range for this use case. It starts low enough that you could use it a little inside 100 yards if necessary, while the 20 power top magnification still allows you to reach targets at great distance. For inside 100 yards, as this rifle could definitely be used in fairly close proximity, I have the Aimpoint Acro P2 red dot on a side mount. Speaking of mounts, all this is being held together by the Area 419 cantilevered one-piece tactical scope mount. And just like everything I've ever purchased from Area 419, from muzzle devices to reloading gear, this scope mount has exceeded my expectations and exudes quality. Features like tons of accessory attachments like the offset acro mount that I have, to diving boards up top. Also engineering like raw aluminum to better hold the scope and steel pins for better alignment. Like everything Area 419, these mounts are over-engineered to provide top performance for the end user. And remember, if you need anything from optics to optics mounts, and even more, you can save some money with the code ARSENAL at Optics Planet. We also use several silencers on the HK MR762A4, but one I want to specifically highlight is the Cat JL or Johnny Law. This is Cat's larger 30 caliber can, and while the Cat ODB might be a more appropriate size-wise, the JL is just crazy quiet and able to nicely tame the sound coming off this 16.5-inch 308. The JL is very quiet, one of the quietest silencers I've ever used, but what's most important is the JL has no ill effects on accuracy. We made some pretty impressive shots with the MR762, and what could have ruined all of that is a silencer that hurt accuracy. The Cat JL came through and maintained perfect accuracy while delivering top-tier performance, like possibly the best available sound performance available. Not sure what more you could ask for. Like we always say here, nothing is perfect and everything has room for improvement. While I do absolutely love this rifle, there are a few things to consider if you might be looking to add one of these to your collection. First off, it's not cheap, but I would argue that performance of this caliber rarely is, and I would find it worth the price in my opinion. I would also contend that it outperforms AR-10 rifles that cost more than the MR762A4 does. The other minor sticking point I could potentially see is the magazines. The MR762A4 uses its own proprietary magazine and doesn't work with the more readily available AR-10 or SR-25 mags. Now, they aren't too expensive at about $50 a pop, but of course that's considerably more than a Magpul AR-10 mag. But they are also wider, so that means if you have any mag pouches that will hold an AR-10 magazine, these more than likely will not fit. I will say that these mags have been 100% reliable, and I think that if HK found the current mags acceptable, they wouldn't have spent the time engineering these mags. This is my new go-to AR-10. It outperforms any of the AR-10s I own, have ever owned, or have ever shot. It actually performs at a level I didn't really think was possible for the AR-10 platform. Being completely honest, I'm not sure any of my 308 bolt guns could perform at the level of accuracy that this thing has, and they have longer barrels, because longer barrels usually give you more velocity and better performance at distance. But the HK's 16.5-inch barrel seems to be doing just fine. To say I'm pleased with the performance is putting it mildly. It's also not just the accuracy, it's the whole shooting experience. We didn't talk about recoil much, but the MR762A4 is very soft shooting, especially for an AR-10. Now, the way we had it set up most of the time probably didn't demonstrate that well, but with a low back pressure can on the suppressed setting, this thing kicks like a baby. To go further, AR-10s can also be very gassy suppressed. And again, on the suppressed setting, even with the higher back pressure can, not a single shooter ever complained about gas at all. If you're looking for a top tier AR-10, at least in my eyes, this is the complete package. Unmatched accuracy, reliability, ergonomics, and shootability. For a very long time now, I've been looking for the ultimate AR-10. I'd buy one, I'd shoot it a while, decide I wasn't happy with it for this or that, and get rid of it and buy another one to try. Well, all of that has ended. Never say never, but I think it would be extremely hard to better the HK MR762A4. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you get the chance, go by and check out alabamaarsenal.com. Over there, we have in-depth articles on a lot of the stuff that we've reviewed, just a deeper dive, and you get early access to videos with much, much more. So go check out alabamaarsenal.com. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because as always, we have some really big reviews in the works that you won't want to miss. If you want to know what those reviews are way before they hit the YouTube channel, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, where you can see what's being reviewed in real time. If you want to help support Alabama Arsenal, the absolute best way to do that is through Patreon. These videos can be surprisingly expensive to make, and every little bit helps and is greatly appreciated. There's also Alabama Arsenal gear available right below the video if you want to go out and represent. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.